Hello everyone, it is Tuesday, July 17th. My name is Kurosawa, and this is Office Hours Episode 1. What I'd like to do here is talk about the techniques that I developed and use over the years. It'll include technique breakdown as well as musical uses, like in context. Today I'd like to talk about one-hand bass, which means I am fretting in these two fingers and plucking in these two. The reason why I chose this topic is because it is very different from tapping, and it's something that I think is fairly new in terms of actually being used in a musical context extensively. So hopefully this will give you some good insight to that. And the other reason I chose this is because it is still consistently evolving for me. I find new ways to use it all the time, so I can add to it in the future episodes. And by the way, today's episode is brought to you by Usaburo Kokeshi. This is Darth Vader, of course. He has a cool little lightsaber. If you're interested in getting Usaburo Kokeshi, I'll put them in the description box below. Without further ado, hope you enjoy the first episode here. This one-hand bass is part of that. It is actually not tapping. It is more like plucking, like playing like a regular bass player. So when a bass player usually plays, right? So you got your fretting hand, then your plucking hand. So what I came up with is how to do that all with one hand. So my left hand over here is my two fingers. The index and the middle finger is my fretting hand, basically. And then usually when plucking over here, the plucking hand is these two fingers, the pinky and the ring finger. So that's how this basically works. So for example, let's just play something here. So that in the right hand was all basically plucked. A little bit of, ghost notes, attack notes here and there. That's all basically plucked. There's a default to this. The index finger goes with the ring finger, and then the middle finger goes with the pinky. Here's what I mean. So we have, by the way, I'm just playing in G minor for those of you who care. So here we go. So we got the G. So I'm holding down with the index finger, and I'm plucking with the ring finger, like this. That gets a very similar sound if I were to pluck like this. So, okay. And then what's happening over here is when the middle finger is holding, the pinky is plucking. Again, very similar sound, like if I were to pluck like this. But instead of that, what's happening is I'm holding and plucking. Plucking. Fretting, plucking. If you want to think about it in very slow motion, everything is always hold a note and then pluck. It's always like hold a note and then pluck. So even if I'm playing something kind of quick, say like so that is all basically first hold and then pluck. The reason why I started to come up with this kind of thing is because I wanted to originally play something a little smoother, a little more lyrical in terms of the bass side, especially on the high strings. Like originally, like I think I like say like a simple melody like. Stuff like that, where it's just very, very simple stuff, And I like the way that sounds. It makes me feel like I'm playing a melody a lot more, like I'm actually doing this more as a bass player. So that's how it originally came about, and it's a little bit of a weird sensation for your hand. You gotta get good at how much strength you put into it and how relaxed you are, because otherwise, like, you know, there's really not going to be much happening with that. Just something like that, like I was playing, that doesn't take too much practice to be able to do that. So I was doing that for maybe about I don't know, for a few years, once when I started thinking about this kind of technique. But the real challenge was actually playing lower notes, like real bass line kind of stuff. Repeated notes and stuff was really difficult, actually. And it still is. And I believe that I am getting a lot better at it all the time, which is great, but it's still a work in progress. Say if I play something like this, right? That's, if I'm plucking that, usually it'll be, right? Instead, if I am gonna do that with one hand bass, I'm essentially holding it and pluck. So I'm plucking with pinky, plucking with ring finger, and then actually pulling off to that note, hammering on, and then plucking this note again. So and then just even doing that kind of thing, like octave, that's actually pretty difficult. Playing like a tenth, like a double stop, is actually pretty hard too. So in that case, I'm still holding, see that note with my index finger, and then the third on top with my middle finger, plucking with the pinky. So we get like that nice 10th voicing, which actually is very nice. The reason why I really started getting into trying to develop being able to play bass lines, just even simple, something like, and I think that definitely sounds just like a regular bass player playing. It was because I was working with this vocalist, and whenever like I played with her, and if I was gonna tap it, the sound of tapping actually was really annoying to me, and it just didn't really fit like the vocalist singing. So at that point I thought to myself, you know what? It feels natural to actually just, you know, like do like, so I thought, okay, so I should be able to actually be able to do that, but I like playing my instrument, so I had to figure out how to make that happen with this instrument, basically. And that's when I really started to say, okay, well, I really have to figure out and learn and teach myself how to do this. So let's go back to that groove a little bit. So nothing too exciting there, right? Just the root and the fifth, which is always very important if you're a bass player. When I, you know, started learning all this jazz stuff, of course, like I played roots and fifths for forever, and I still do, but of course, yeah. So anyway, simple stuff. So what's happening there is, of course, pluck, and then here, of course, the root and the fifth. These are kind of like a default position. The index is at the root, and the middle finger is at the fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this groove, so that is often referred to, I believe, as a ghost note. So the one way to get it is literally just by slapping the hand on the string, and it actually works pretty good. So I hope you can hear that. I'm exaggerating a little bit right now, of course. And also, if you notice, my index finger stays extended. The reason, partially, of course, for that is for muting. Bass player approach, you know, you want to make sure you're not getting any weird ringing happening. And of course, as you can see, there is this dampening right here, which helps with the mute, but I can still use the open strings on this instrument. And if I don't mute, you know, there will be some ringing. So muting is pretty essential still. So anyway, back to this. So when I'm playing the two notes, I am going pinky, ring finger. I know it's a little hard to see, but see we got that? Pinky, ring finger. Pinky, ring finger. Pinky, ring finger. Right? So we got, and then slap, or hit the string, and then pluck, pluck. Make sure that you understand that this motion of actually hitting the string and then plucking, that's sort of all in one motion. I am actually not, the getting the ghost note is not much of an effort. It's just part of the movement of getting to the next next note. Throwing in a ghost note in this case is actually pretty, I wouldn't say easy, but it makes sense quite a bit, and it gets easier as it develops. For example, if I were to do something like, you know, I see like the index has to go here. I can just go right, but I can actually always just throw in a ghost note right before that. You know what? You can hear that, and then that actually really adds to the groove. So hopefully that makes a good addition musically. Sometimes when I get people asking me like, well, when are you gonna ever really use this? Because, you know, when you try it, obviously I think it'll be easier to understand that actually holding a note and then plucking it, it's actually a lot, it's a lot weirder than it seems. And so you never really couldn't think about it's actually useful, or you can do it musically or with any speed for that matter. So I had comments where like people said they had no idea what was going on, or they didn't think I was using it, and then when I slowed it down for them to show like all this plucking is actually happening, then they went, oh, okay, that's interesting, you know. Even like extending a line, say like that line from before, like kind of a groove that I do quite a bit. It's a play off of a very famous groove. Like, this is actually this is not too difficult to do. You know, that stuff like that. So from there I actually realized that actually playing the root, the fifth, the flat seven to hitting the octave, that is actually like kind of a natural move for the fingers actually. So from that, there's almost like a default thing that I practice quite a bit, something like this. So I can go. It's pretty easy to remember that in terms of muscle memory. So that one I actually enjoy quite a bit. So I've been working on trying to get one-hand bass to be able to be more functional when doing walking bass line. I'm plucking all the time, and then what I worked on was trying to get that, you know, the regular thing that a lot of bass players do, like the ghost note or the when walking. Let's see, like for example, like if I'm doing like, you know, just like that sound. So the way I actually figured out how to get that was by trying to figure out by raking, what that means is when you pluck one string, you keep going to the next one with the same finger. Bass players do this quite a bit, of course. And so I started utilizing this to try to get the, if you can hear that right there. So we got pluck, pluck, and then with the finger that I plucked with it, I'm just raking to the top, getting the next note. Same here. If I'm not throwing in that note, it just sounds like, right? Instead I'm going, so plucking with the pinky, rake, basically get that dead note, and then pluck with the ring finger. And then pluck again with the middle finger. Oh, hold on a second, here we have a question. Oh, hey Ian. Does two-handed independent hands mean you can play Freebird unison in both hands? Right. Double the trouble. Funny. Yes, Ian, that means that I can Freebird as much as I want to. As much as you want to too. But no, I won't play Freebird. You know, I never got that joke, by the way, why everybody's like, yeah, Freebird, and I'm like, Freebird, what? You know? Anyway. Going down is actually easier. So what's happening there is pluck, pluck. So pluck with the pinky. And before I get to the index, plucking with the index, I pull off with the middle finger, dampen the string with the index finger. Pluck. You hear that? Pluck. And then you get the ghost note. And then pluck again with the ring finger. So with that in mind, so we got the first two, pluck, pluck, rake with the pinky, and then pluck with the ring finger. This gets confusing sometimes. Hope you can hear that. That's index, pluck, pluck, rake, get that dead note in there, and then, so let's see, we got hopefully that's some use. We'll be moving on from that one for now. Well, yeah, actually, in terms of the raking, what I figured out recently is I can use that to play major thirds, actually, with a little more ease. I'd say before, and I still do this, of course, if I were to play, like I would play with the index, play with the ring, the middle finger, and then index finger again, right? And then I'll be actually plucking, and then plucking again, plucking, plucking. So that works good, but sometimes it's also very good to just, it's very good to actually try doing that with raking. How that works is, see, we can see, can you see that? So we got index, middle finger, rake up to, so the B flat and the D is both played by the middle finger. So, for example, let's put that into some context, like. Okay, so now we got, right? And actually that's pretty nice because it's like a controlled short note with for the B flat. You can do the same thing, of course, here. And it gets, the sensation is different from each string, obviously. By raking, hopefully if I keep developing this, I can actually do some pretty cool ascending lines. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, even now, like if I were to play fourths going up, like, see what happening there is just playing, holding with the index finger, plucking, hammer on. So plucking is all with the ring finger here. Hopefully that makes sense. Any questions that relate to one-hand bass today? Not really. Getting some thumbs up, which is always nice. Thank you, people. And yeah. And I'm thinking I will do things where I will play maybe like more recognizable tunes or something. To demonstrate the use. For example, like I'm thinking at some point I'll do like an example on famous bass line like this one, right? Like, you know, stuff like that, because that actually line is actually pretty hard to play with one hand bass, except it actually sounds pretty decent. Hopefully it sounds decent over there. Fingers that are holding the note is the index and the ring. So we start with the index. Hopefully that's a recognizable one. Of course that's a recognizable one. So index, and then that one, plucking, ring, pinky, ring finger, And then we got pluck, pluck, pluck. Alright. Now, this explaining sometimes gets a little confusing, especially because I usually don't think too much about which finger is doing what. It's starting to get a little more automatic for me at this point, which is probably a good thing. Oh yeah, and then if I was play the next part, right? You know, so that actually translates decently across the instrument. What I would like to do is get some stuff happening with like just a drummer or something, because that's always fun and informative of how actually it'll work together in an ensemble. Once again, we got the MTD bass, Labella strings, Nordstrand pickups, Kirlin cable right here. We got Darth Vader right here. You know, I like my Kokeshis. This is actually from pretty close to where I'm from. I know it's going to be out of focus if I bring it closer, but yay! Hopefully you can see that's Darth Vader. Look at that. He even has a lightsaber. I put him back there. Awesome. Well, thanks guys for checking it out, and yeah. There's more topics that people ask me to talk about, some of that metal playing that I used to do and with different people with the different styles. So hopefully that's something I'll be doing sometime soon. If anybody is interested in my latest release, I did put a link at I think it's the first comment on the video with the DVD release. And yes, all the support goes directly to me and the friends that I create music with. So if you feel like picking that up, please check it out. And yeah, if there is any future topics, please let me know and I will be happy to talk about those. And yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I bid you good night. This is Kai Kurosawa, and this is Office Hours, episode 1. I don't know if I'll actually upload this one on YouTube, because I don't know if I did a very good job with it. But we'll see. Alright, thank you very much.